It's David, MSOM 602, coming to you this morning from a hotel in Waco, Texas. Yes, I said Waco, Texas, home of Baylor University. Down here seeing some friends today. Have a very dear friend of mine who is giving birth um, today. Very good friend of our families. Actually, they consider us mom and dad. So we will be having a grandchild in an hour or so. So I wanted to make sure I had a chance to chat with you on a couple of things. One, I wanted to talk a little bit. I just got finished grading the assessments for you on the ROC, Return on Character. And as I'm reading through those, I just want to make sure that each one of you will have a really clear understanding of the purpose of these assessments. For those of you who just finished MSON 601, you know that you took a critical thinking assessment in there, and that assessment gave you what your, based upon the results, based upon how you answered the questions, what your thinking style was. And again, one thinking style wasn't better than the other. They're just different. And so the same thing really applies here. I did notice in many of your comments, though, that a lot of you were taking this as maybe a quiz or something else, and it's really not that. I don't want you to pay so much attention to how you move along that scale between a virtuoso leader and a self-leader, because many times you're a product of your leadership environment. And if you have a background in working in a church, or working in the military, or working in a traditional top-down hierarchy in a leadership structure, you may have some difficulties sometimes in grasping the concepts here, and by no fault of your own. I mean, that's just the way that you have been trained. You may have gone to leadership training classes that tell you about a command and control structure that's there, and that's fine, because in many instances those are structures that are needed. I can certainly appreciate those of you with military backgrounds understanding those types of things, because many of the things that we're going to address in this course I don't think would apply in the theater of war. Even though I don't have a military background, I can't imagine that those things would work very effectively. So these types of assessments are simply just this lens, and you hear me say this a lot, but it's a lens through which you're going to view things. And taking this assessment and seeing where you are on this line between self-leader and virtuoso leader will be the lens through which you're going to view a lot of the concepts that we talk about in servant leadership. We're going to talk about concepts of leading by listening. We're going to talk about concepts of leading by following. And so if you have a background of, again, hierarchical leadership, these are things that may be new for you. Well, one of the key things, I think, is when you move out of environments that are based upon a hierarchy in leadership, are more of the self-directed type of leadership versus more virtuoso leadership, you need to understand these, and you need to understand how you view certain things. Doesn't mean that you're not going to change that view, but it gives you a higher degree of understanding on how you approach these, so that when you begin to see some of the concepts that we're going to talk about over the next 6 to 7 weeks, I want you to build on these. I want you to grow in these areas, because in many of the industries that you want to be moving into, as you move out of maybe the military or out of other types of more top-down structures, you're going to need to understand these. And I think that's going to be critical for you as you go forward. So again, if you scored what you thought was really low or really high, don't be too sad or don't be too proud, because these, again, are just lenses through which you're going to view things. And I wanted to do that very early on in the course, so that you had a degree of understanding about those in going forward. All right? Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.